Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
And UFC President Dana White, El Jefe, has spoken out after Dustin Poirier knocked out Justin Gaethje, both top 5 ranked lightweight contenders, and said that Dustin Poirier is absolutely in the running to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov next for the UFC undisputed lightweight title. Now this is interesting because there's multiple #1 contenders, but it is very true. Dustin Poirier could very well be the guy that skips the queue and fights Khabib next. Now, I'll lay out the UFC lightweight title picture for you after I read what Dana White had to say. He said he's definitely in there. He's one of the guys we were thinking about calling to take the fight, calling to take the UFC 223 main event title fight versus Khabib, but we didn't want to screw up this event, so thank God we didn't. If you recall, just last week at UFC 223, it was originally supposed to be Tony Ferguson versus Khabib, but Tony Ferguson had a freak accident the week of the fight, which made Max Holloway, the UFC featherweight champion, get the call. He stepped up to take the fight, but on the last day of cutting weight, the UFC doctors deemed Max Holloway should stop cutting weight, stop trying to make the weight on such short notice, and they called Anthony Pettis and eventually Ally Quinta, who ended up taking the fight. But that was like 3 or 4 different opponent changes, and the UFC was, you know, at a time desperate for needing to save that main event of UFC 223 and to the UFC lightweight title fight. So Dustin Poirier is a guy who was going to fight a week later versus Justin Gaethje. He's already cutting weight. He's lightweight. He's top ranked. Maybe he was going to call Poirier, but that would have messed up this was the main event of the next week's card, and that would have messed up the main event of that with, you know, that would have made Justin Gaethje need an opponent on 1 week's notice trying to save. So, you know, it was a bunch of madness, and as Dana White said, thank God they didn't, because it turned out to be a great fight, which we expected between Poirier and Gaethje, but Poirier won in the 4th round via KO, and now he's got to win a finish over Anthony Pettis, former UFC lightweight champion, and Justin Gaethje since his no contest loss to Eddie Alvarez. Meanwhile, Eddie Alvarez only has a win over Justin Gaethje. So Poirier's got 2 wins while Eddie Alvarez only has 1 since their no contest. So you've got to think Poirier gets the nod over Eddie Alvarez in their title fight. And the only other guys that get the nod over Poirier are Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, he could fight Khabib next, which would mean maybe we see Poirier Alvarez, unless Poirier wants to wait. But I think Poirier Alvarez, this would be an amazing time. But Poirier said Alvarez has turned it down 5 times. He said he's not going to turn it down if Alvarez wants to fight. But if Alvarez doesn't take the fight, maybe Poirier gets a title shot next. Because if Conor McGregor comes back, he could fight Floyd Mayweather or Nate Diaz or Khabib. You know, Conor McGregor's got options. And if he just so happens to choose Nate Diaz, the trilogy fight, or Floyd Mayweather, that would mean Khabib would need an opponent to defend his lightweight belt against when he returns. And if Tony Ferguson is still injured, which his injury is looking pretty gruesome after surgery, pretty freak injury, tripped over a cord, I believe, or a production card on studio at a UFC media obligation, tripped over a cord, fucked up his leg, the surgery looks really bad. So Tony Ferguson, who knows when he's coming back and how he's going to look when he comes back, but when he does come back, he'll probably be getting a title shot, but it'll be like, yo, how's he going to look? But at the same time, if Ferguson can't come back at the end, and you know, until next year because of his injury, if Conor comes back to do something else that's not fight Khabib, then we're looking at Poirier as the next potential contender. And not only did Dana White say he's absolutely in the running, Dustin Poirier revealed on the MMA Hour this Monday that Khabib's team reached out and said that he's definitely, you know, the #1 contender, and if they don't fight Conor or whatever, that he very likely could be getting the next title shot. And that's interesting to hear from Team Khabib, you know what I'm saying? Because it's good to hear, because Dustin Poirier called out Khabib after the fight, like, yo, Khabib, I'm ready for that title. So it sounds like Khabib's down, he thinks he's willing, and Khabib did say, yo, I'm gonna humble Conor McGregor. I'm going to fight the #1 contender first and make Conor beg to fight me or ask to fight me. He doesn't deserve a title shot. So Khabib could take that route, which would mean that would be Poirier. But a lot of people, Eddie Alvarez is a guy that's still in the title picture. Let me know in the comments. I'm interested in that. What do you guys think about Khabib, for one, Dustin Poirier fighting for the title next? Do you guys think that's going to happen? Or do you think it's going to be Conor coming back to fight Khabib? Now, also, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. So let me know what you guys think about this situation in the comments. About Poirier fighting for the title next, possibly. Or what do you think about Eddie Alvarez, you know, now being in title contention? I think Poirier passed Eddie Alvarez as far as fighting for the title is concerned, because they had the opportunity for the rematch, and Poirier's fought twice at the no contest. Alvarez coached The Ultimate Fighter and fought Gaethje, but Poirier's not only beat Gaethje now, but he also beat former champion Pettis. So the lightweight title picture is really interesting. The divisions have been log jammed for a while with Conor McGregor out, Ferguson and Khabib. Now we've got more clarity with Khabib as the champion, but we still got to see what happens with Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor, and also with Poirier and Alvarez. So it's getting better in the lightweight division. Still got some stuff to play out though. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.